The world of professional European cycling is a grueling, high-stakes battle where every victory is measured in fractions of a second. For over a century, the British team was essentially invisible in this world. Between 1908 and 2003, they managed to win exactly one Olympic gold medal. In the Tour de France, their record was even worse: 0 victories in 110 years. The team was so poorly regarded that a top European bike manufacturer actually refused to sell them gear. They were afraid that if other professionals saw the Brits using their bikes, it would ruin the brand's reputation. That cycle of failure broke in 2003 with the hiring of a new performance director, Dave Brailsford. He was tasked with a total reorganization of British cycling. When a system fails for a century, the temptation is to reach for a complete overnight overhaul. But Dave Brailsford took the exact opposite approach. He introduced a strategy he called the aggregation of marginal gains. The idea was to break down every single component of riding a bike and improve each one by just 1%. His coaches started with the obvious mechanical changes. They redesigned bike seats for comfort, used electrically heated overshorts to maintain muscle temperature, and rubbed alcohol on the tires for a better grip. But they also looked for improvements in overlooked areas. They hired a surgeon to teach the riders the most effective way to wash their hands. They tested different pillows and mattresses to find the best night's sleep for each rider. They even painted the inside of the team truck white so they could spot tiny bits of dust that might interfere with tuning. These hundreds of tiny adjustments eventually collided. 5 years later, at the Beijing Olympics, the British team won 60. In the 10 years following Brailsford's arrival, British cyclists captured 178 world championships and 5 Tour de France victories. The team achieved total dominance by focusing on microscopic daily adjustments, a sharp contrast to the all-encompassing, exhausting resolutions most of us attempt when we try to change our own lives. Brailsford proved that excellence isn't an isolated event. It is a byproduct of a system. This logic applies to our lives too. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. This chart shows the mathematical reality. If you get 1% better each day for a year, you end up 37 times better. But getting 1% worse daily brings you nearly to 0. That gap widens every single day. We often dismiss our daily choices because a 1% shift is invisible in the moment. You go to the gym for 3 days, see you're still out of shape, and so you just stop. We blind ourselves to the different trajectory these choices create over the span of a decade. If the math of compounding is so undeniable, why do we almost always quit our good habits after a few weeks? Consider an ice cube sitting in a cold room. It's 25 degrees. Slowly, the room begins to heat up. 26, 27, 28. The ice cube doesn't change. 29, 30, 31. Still nothing. Then they hit 32 degrees. The ice cube begins to melt. That single degree shift, identical to all the ones before it, finally produces a visible result. This is the plateau of latent potential. We expect progress to be linear, but compounding results are almost always delayed. This creates a valley of disappointment, where you feel like you're going nowhere despite your hard work. Your early efforts are not being wasted, they are being stored. Quitting after a month is like complaining the ice didn't melt at 31 degrees. To bridge that gap, we have to look at why our traditional framework, goal setting, actually prevents us from making progress. Goal setting suffers from a serious case of survivorship bias. We look at people who win gold medals and assume their goals led to their success, but every single athlete at the Olympics had the exact same goal. Goals also create a yo-yo effect. Once a runner crosses the finish line, the race no longer motivates them, and they revert to old routines. You should use goals to set a direction, but use systems to make progress. The goal is to win the game. The system is how you practice every single day. If systems are the answer, how do we build a system of atomic habits that sticks permanently? Behavior change happens at 3 distinct layers, like an onion. Most start from the outside in, focusing on outcomes. This forces you to rely on willpower. The alternative is inside-out change, starting at your core identity. You focus on who you wish to become. To make a change last, you cannot just change your actions. You have to change the underlying beliefs that led to your past behavior. Take 2 people turning down a cigarette. One says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The other says, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." It's a small difference, but the second statement signals a shift in identity. If you still view yourself as a smoker who is simply trying to do something else, your old identity will eventually sabotage your new plans. Every tiny daily action you take is a casting vote for the type of person you wish to be. If you write one page, you are a writer. If you lift weights once, you are an athlete. The identity you choose to inhabit, 1% at a time, determines the progress you make. Transformation happens when you stop chasing results and start becoming the habit.